See the little boy? I don't think you can see the little guy.
He kind of blends with the background a little bit.
He does. How can we make our little doodly friend? He needs something black. Hold on, let me get some black.
You could use that book. The black book.
We have a black book?
Right there.
Oh, you know what? We gotta record my TikTok.
You want to do it after or before?
We can do it after. We'll do both after. Then.
Okay.
All right.
Happy Books and Babble.
Happy Books and Babble.
And
it is a happy day because we finished this.
yes,
And we
we're
don't have
very
to talk
excited.
about
Should we
it
just
anymore.
dive into the book discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. I've got a lot of grievances with how this ended, which, yes, it is a happy day because we are so excited to be done with The Shade of the Moon,
Yes.
the 4th book, and the Life as We Knew It series.
Mm-hmm.
This book was horrible all the way through. I'm sorry, it was.
It was
I
bad.
hated everything that happened.
Yes.
There was so many things. Well, do you want me just to like dive in? Because I have a list of things.
I've got a list as well.
Okay. So right off the bat in the beginning of this section.
Oh, this just gets so much grosser. You go ahead. I just had a really bad time with the last part of this book.
I think I know which parts you're talking about. I don't know which. Wait, I guess there's a couple things that happened that I wasn't happy with, but I don't know which one is the one that you're like not sure of. Okay, but
There's so much.
yeah, there's so much.
Take your pick.
The beginning of this section when we were reading it, I was so flabbergasted by the fact that, and I think I said this last Books of Babel too, where I said something about Alex and about how like I didn't like the fact that he knew that Miranda killed Julie and then continued to marry her, and I was like, okay, what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
But then it goes into even more detail, and we find out all of this stuff about Alex and about how he, like when he found out, he took off to go talk to see Carlos, and literally that Alex was saying, he literally called Miranda like brave and courageous for killing Julie. And was like, wow, you, like, I'm, like, thank you so much for doing that. You were so brave for being able to do that. What? She literally killed a person, and that person was your sister, and, like, that's crazy. The fact that he's like, oh, she's brave and courageous for doing that. What is wrong with you? Like, now I've been up and down with Alex this whole series, but especially in this one, now I'm like, there's no coming back from that. Like, now I don't like Alex. Let's see. Oh, so Carrie, which this happened in the last section. Carrie was the one that John almost attacked and was literally thinking about attacking, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep hitting her until she dies. I'm literally gonna bash her face in."
Yeah,
and then in this section, so she gets reassigned to some other place, and John gets just the most angry about it, and he's like, "Well, why did she get reassigned?" And he was so mad, and I'm like, I don't understand why you're angry. Like, you almost bashed her face in, and you're like, why did she leave? What do you mean? Why did she get what the heck is wrong with you?
Yep.
So one thing that I thought was absolutely insane was the whole twist around with Miranda's baby. Because when they said, oh, Miranda's baby died, I was like, no flipping way. No way.
Mm-hmm.
But then we find out later that the baby's actually alive.
Yeah.
That Miranda was right about the fact that somebody just took her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that was crazy. I did not see that coming.
I like that. And then Sarah was such a good person to help get them back. Oh, the berries are still good. Ah,
Look at
yeah.
that.
How cute. Yeah, that it's a little dragon. You cute?
A little light up dragon.
Okay. He's just too cute.
He's our guest this week on the show. He's our guest.
Last week was bananas, and this week it's a dragon.
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, like I like that. I like the fact that Sarah did that. The way they acted off the cuff with John, and they were able to get it done. I like that, but I did not like the way that what's her face stayed behind and killed herself.
Lisa, that's on my list too. Lisa's suicide was unnecessary.
Yes.
1000%. And then it made no sense either.
Mm-mm.
It made zero sense. Like, they had this whole scheme to get Miranda's baby back. And instead of going with them, because after they got the baby, they escaped. Like, they weren't going to hang around the town, obviously. Why not just go with them? That makes the fact that she's like, I'm going to stay back and try and convince everybody that it wasn't you guys. And it was like, wait, whoa. That idea is so stupid to begin with. And then the fact that she decided to do that task by killing herself made even less sense. I was like, what is going on here?
It just doesn't
It made no logical sense.
It didn't.
No.
It did not make any sense. She could easily just left the area with them and they would have been okay. So I don't understand the whole meaning behind that. And I would have DNF'd this book if I was reading it on my own. As soon as they brought up the 14-year-old slave girl that, and I say slave girl because that's basically the way they refer to her as, is being horny. And they sexualize her. And then John actually tells Sarah that he's afraid he'll sleep with her, so he's got to stay up there because he wants to sleep with her. And
let's talk about the Ruby Opal switch.
What the hell? And that whole thing too, I just didn't understand it. I guess they wanted to. I didn't understand it. I didn't think there really needed to be any reason for it. I think they wanted to make it to where John wasn't tempted by it because Opal did not like her. Like Ruby liked him, or liked him, not her. And that's the only thing I can think of. I really don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought that part was
it was because of the married thing too, because I feel like that's why she did it, is because she's like, okay, you guys are married. So if it was Ruby, they would be married instead of Opal, like some random person just saying you're married. Really, like, come on, these are tested times. They're like, there's no official document. There's no official thing. It just, to me, the whole thing is just really silly. And it didn't even need to be in there. I thought it was really kind of stupid. And
yeah, I agree. I thought it also made no sense. Like, if you're gonna do a twin switch up, that's a classic switch around. Okay, yeah. But the only times that it's done well is when we as a reader know who the twin is way ahead of time, and like there are maybe hints about, oh, is this actually Ruby or is this Opal? Like, but the fact that she did a switch around where it was like, oh, I'm Opal, and it's like, who is Opal? Like, and also Ruby was a minor character to begin with, so it was like you're taking a minor character that we also, as a reader, are not even very familiar with, and then switching around with Opal, somebody we don't even know. It's like, do I really? I'm like, I don't know. It just felt so. It was unnecessary. It was like I still stand by what I've been saying, that I think that the author bonked her head and then wrote the rest of the series because nothing made any sense to me. No. I will say that was all I had on my list for what to talk about this book, but except for one other thing.
What?
Did you happen to read the author's note?
No.
Okay. I did, and I thought it said some very interesting things.
Oh, I'm curious now because I did not. So, is it not?
Does your version not have it?
It might be the Kindle version.
Oh no, here it is. So, she talks about, so she goes through the whole series, and she starts with Life as We Knew It and her experience writing that and getting it published. Then she moves on to the second book and talks about writing, and so she gets to this book, and she says, I wrote an entire fourth book and sent it off to Karen, who was her not publisher, but her editor or somebody. And so she goes, I wrote an entire fourth book and sent it off to Karen. She read it. Everyone at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, which is who published it, read it. And although they never actually said so, they hated it. That should have stopped me. But I loved my characters and I loved the world I created, and I wanted to make my vet happy. She told the story about how the vet asked if there was going to be another book. I tried again and ended up writing the book you're holding in some format, The Shade of the Moon. My vet has since retired, and since I'm writing this before it's published, I don't know if anyone's going to ask if I'll write another one. Frankly, I don't even know what the answer would be should I ever be asked. But I do know that watching an old movie changed my life. So, but what I thought was super interesting was she wrote an entire version of this book, sent it to the publisher, and they all hated it. And then she wrote this one, and they published it.
I wonder what the first one was. And
isn't that so weird?
I have one thing to say. What the hell is wrong with that vet? Because, I'm sorry, like, I would have recommended, even knowing the devastating ending, that, actually, I think it was.
I didn't mind the ending.
Like,
it was awful, but life
awful.
sucks sometimes.
Right,
I'm fine with that.
And,
yeah.
and I get, like, Julie doing what she did at the end. Not Julie. Miranda killing Julie at the end. Like, you know, made it, like, a thing. But
yeah,
this, to me, is unexcusable. It's just, it's trash. And it brings down all the books.
I completely agree. She should have stopped after the third one. She should not have written a fourth one. I'm curious. I think she should. I guess maybe not, but I would have been very curious to read what the first version was.
Yes.
Of this book. The fact that she wrote a whole version that was completely different from this, submitted it to the publishing, and they said, no, we hate it. But then she wrote this one instead, and the publisher said, yep, that one's good. So what was the first one? Because
yes,
this one's terrible.
It is terrible.
So
yes.
I don't know. I thought that was so interesting. When I read that in the author's note, I was like, wow, that's... So this is the second version, and the first one was so bad it didn't get published. So I don't even know what would have happened in the first one for that to happen, but...
I don't know.
So I thought that was interesting. I am excited. Throw it across the room. We're done with this.
So glad
We're done.
as well. Like, it's not been fun, but next week
Oh, yeah.
we're starting the City of Ember, and we're gonna read chapters 1 to 10. So that's kind of like in the middle because it is a short book. So, and then after that we'll just do 10 in the end.
Yeah.
But
the words are really large, and it's a very quick read from what I remember. So I'm very excited to read a series. I feel like we've had really bad luck on Books and Babble when it's come to the book discussion. So I'm really excited to read a book that I know we'll like, because we've read it before. So we're reading up to chapter 10, which is, I think, about exactly halfway through for next week.
Yeah, so I'm excited to start that. So, yeah,
for sure.
So, are you good for this week? Just leave it at the horrible, hard book discussion this week?
Sure. Okay. Well, that's another Babble about books.
Yes.
All right. So then for next week, do you want to do a game?
Yeah.